welcome back to my channel. I am finally sitting down to film the much anticipated, I feel like, because I've been talking about it for so long, top 5 foundation video. Now, I feel like it's taken a while for me to get to this because I've tried to film a separate little insert that I'm going to put in of me actually applying each foundation so that you can get a feel of what tools I use, what it looks like as you're applying it, what it looks like with just the foundation on after I'm done applying it, stuff like that. So it's taken me a little bit of time in between other foundation reviews I've been filming for y'all and, you know, other things that I've been doing to actually sit down and do this. But I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I've got my notes. Such a note taker. I'm a dork, I know. And I am ready to talk about my top 5 foundations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to not go in any particular order to start with, but I am going to save my very favorite for last. And I have gotten quite a few new subscribers lately, which thank you so much. I'm so excited about y'all joining my little YouTube family. But I do want to tell you, if you don't know, that foundation is my thing. That is my favorite area of makeup, hands down. I, at the moment, have between 40 and 42 foundations that I rotate through on a personal basis, plus the ones I keep in my kit, but I don't use those. I keep them in my kit. But I have used those. So I've tried a lot of different foundations in my makeup time here on Earth, and it was really hard for me to narrow it down to 5. Really hard. So at the very end, I am going to name 2 honorable mentions because I just couldn't keep it to 5. But I did only film 5 applications, and I am trying to keep the bulk of the video down to those 5. So like I said, I'm not going to go in any particular order except for saving my favorite for last. So let's begin. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Nars All Day Weightless Luminous Foundation. Now, I haven't done a separate video on this, although I did do a get ready with me where I featured this, and I'm going to try my very best to link all of those videos down below next to the foundation name so that you know where to go find them if you want to go watch that. But this one is 1 ounce. It retails for $48 and it comes in 20 colors. So this is the most wide color range of any of the ones I'm going to talk about today, in 20 colors. Now, I will say with the colors, they do not match the other Nars foundation colors. For instance, I am in Santa Fe in this one. I am not in Santa Fe in Sheer Glow. I am not in Santa Fe in the matte foundation. So keep that in mind when ordering this, that you probably aren't going to be matched up to other Nars foundations that you have. This is the thinnest consistency foundation that I'm going to talk about today. But I think it is the worst reviewed foundation as well, as far as Sephora and the places where you can purchase this. I personally think that it's the worst reviewed because there is a little bit of a learning curve with this. I do not prefer to use it with a beauty blender. I much prefer a brush. It's the only one out of the group that I'm going to talk about that I do prefer using a brush with. And while the directions say you will only need 1 pump to cover your entire face, I don't think that's true. I use between 3, actually I think I just used 3 pumps. That does cover my entire face. If you use more than 3 pumps, some people, if you use more than 2, I can see where you would get the negative reviews of being a cakey foundation, because it is a fine line between luminous, beautiful foundation to cakey hot mess. So I think that that is, personally, in my opinion, where all the negative reviews are coming from. It is a luminous finish. It does stay all day, and I do think that this is best suited for normal to oily skin, which you wouldn't think with being a luminous foundation. Some people don't claim this has a luminous finish on them. On me, it does, but I do feel like it kind of catches onto dry patches, so I don't know that I can actually recommend this for dry skin. But I will say that this and one other one that I'm going to talk about gives you such a youthful appearance that it honestly can take a few years off of your age, depending on your age. But I don't know, this gives such a skin-like, natural, luminous, radiant finish, and it does last all day, that I would be remiss if I did not include it in my top 5 because I do really enjoy it. I will say really quick also that this is great added in with other foundations. Lately, I've been adding it into my Estee Lauder Double Wear, and I love it. I love it, especially if you've got more of a heavier matte foundation. Add a pump or 2 of this into it, and I think you'll really enjoy the finish. Now I am going to be talking about the best primers and setting powders that I find work with this from my collection. And with this one, I find that the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores Primer and the By Terry Hydro Boost setting powder work best with this foundation. All right, the next two are actually Luminous Radiant finishes as well. This one is probably the newest edition of my top 5, but it is in no way the least loved. It's such a love for me. And this is the Hourglass Illusion Skin Tint Foundation. This also comes in 1 ounce. It retails for $56 and it only comes in 12 colors. So it's a little bit of a smaller color range, but I still think that you're not gonna have a trouble finding your color in this. I did do a whole review video, so I'm not gonna stay too long, but I do think it's best suited for normal to dry skin. It is a very radiant finish. On me personally, don't think it's as luminous as the Nars. It's just radiant and youthful. It is very skin-like. It is a super thick foundation, but it blends out beautifully. It doesn't look thick on your skin. It doesn't look like it's sitting on top of your skin. It claims to promote smoother, firmer, and youthful looking skin. I don't know necessarily about the firming aspects of it, but I will say it does promote a smoother and youthful appearance. This is the other one I was talking about as far as making you look a little bit younger than you actually are. It's just a beautiful finish. And for this one, I like to use the Dior Forever and Everwear Primer and the Urban Decay Naked Loose Powder to set. Obviously, that is not the only ones that are gonna work. That's just my personal Obviously, that is not the only ones that are going to work. That's just my personal experience. Okay, this is the last of the Luminous foundations in my top 5. This is the Josie Maran Vibrancy Foundation. Again, I have a whole review video about this. It is 1 ounce. It is $45 and it comes in 14 colors. So it is kind of middle of the road when it comes to color selection. I am in the color Adventurous G55. My favorite primer and setting powders is the Cover FX Anti-Aging Primer, and I also like the Urban Decay Naked Skin Loose Powder with this as well. It is a very radiant finish. It is an argan oil based foundation, so I really cannot recommend it for oily skin. I think it works best for normal to dry skin, and it is absolutely beautiful. I have no problem with it staying on me throughout the day. I don't find that it wears off or patches or anything like that. And I will say, for this foundation, out of all the ones that I'm going to talk about today, this is the one that my skin gets the best compliments on while wearing it. I don't know what it is. I can be at the grocery store, I can be at the gas station, everybody's like, oh, your skin looks so pretty. And they don't say my makeup looks pretty, they say my skin looks pretty. Which also happens with the Hourglass, but I feel like it happens more with this. So it's just a really nice foundation. Again, if you have oily skin, I would stay very, very clear of this. But if you have normal to dry, it is a definite must-have in my opinion. Now, this is the only drugstore foundation that I own and that I'm going to talk about in this group of 5 to 7 foundations. And this is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte. I have the Pro Glow. I do enjoy the Pro Glow to an extent. It does have quite a bit of alcohol in it. I think it's like the 3rd ingredient. So I don't use it on a regular basis by any means, but I do like it mixed with this. This, however, has no alcohol and it is absolutely flawless. It is 1 ounce. It retails for $12.99 on Ulta, but you can get it for cheaper at Walmart, Target, places like that. And it does come in only 12 colors, but I still think that even for $12.99, I feel like even if you need to buy 2 to mix together, it's still really worth it. This is the only one out of all that I'm going to talk about that I can safely say works best on all skin types. It is the only one out of all the ones I'm going to talk about that I carry in my Pro Kit. And I can tell you it works on all skin types because I've used it on all skin types. If you have super dry, flaky skin, maybe you don't want to use this, but it could still work if you prep your skin very well. Now, as far as the primer and powder that I like to use best with this, I like the Becca Backlight Priming Filter and the Mer Powder Original. This is what I have on today with those 2 things. So I use the Becca Backlight Priming Filter and then Mer Original Powder, but I think any kind of like illuminating finishing setting powder would work great with this because it does have a very, I don't want to say very matte, but it's a natural matte finish. So I feel like it's easier to use illuminating products with this than some of the other ones because if you used like the Becca Backlight with some of those other illuminating foundations I talked about, it would be kind of oil slickish. So you might want to steer clear of that, but it works wonderful with this. Flawless complexion, flawless, really easy to apply. I do prefer a beauty blender, and it honestly, it says 24 hours. I've never worn it for 24 hours, but I've worn it for 18 and it still looks amazing. So I do want to say I'm not including this in my top 5 because I wanted to make sure there was an affordable option for my viewers. I just really love this foundation, and if you have not tried it, I know it's not new and I know a ton of people love it, but if for some reason you haven't tried it, I really recommend going out to your local drugstore, Walmart, Target, whatever, and picking up a bottle. I don't think you're going to be disappointed at all with the results. I am also, I didn't say, I'm in the color 104 Golden Beige. Okay, so now we are at my top favorite foundation, and if you've been watching me for any length of time, you already know what it is. It is the Shiseido Synchro Skin Lasting Foundation. Lasting Liquid Foundation. Oil-free, broad spectrum, SPF 20. I have 2 colors, Golden 2 and Golden 4. I mix them for my perfect shade right now. Golden 4 by itself is perfect for me in the winter. I mean, summer, sorry. Golden 2 is what I had originally purchased, and it's just a tad too light for me even now, so that's why I mixed the 2. This is 1 ounce. It retails for $45, and it only comes in 11 colors, which unfortunately is the smallest of my top 5 in terms of shade range, but I think that's pretty par for the course with Shiseido products. I find that to be actually the most color range of most of the foundations I've looked at in Shiseido makeup line, because other ones only have like 8 to 9. Some of them only have like 6. So it still has 11 colors. I still don't think you're going to have trouble finding it, although the darkest is not really that dark, which is unfortunate. But again, I think that's pretty much standard for Shiseido. I recommend this most for normal to oily. However, I do think that if you have dry skin and prep well, you can still pull this off. It does contain alcohol, so be aware of that if you're sensitive or do have extremely dry skin and you can't really use anything with alcohol in it. This does contain alcohol. It is a liquid to an almost powder finish. I bought this back in February of this year and did a whole review on it, but like looking back at old videos, I'm like, oh my goodness, yeah. Okay, maybe I shouldn't direct you to that video, but I did use it also and feature it in my Holy Grail Get Ready With Me video that I posted a few months ago. So I will link both of those down below. It is oil-free. It is super, super long-lasting, and I mean long-lasting to the point of you can't tell that I've had my makeup on for 12 hours because it looks identical to when I put it on first thing that morning. You'll see in that video, if you watch the original review video, I worked out and everything, and I was like, it honestly had not budged. Amazing staying and lasting power, considering it says it's a lasting liquid foundation. I would expect that, and it really does live up to that claim. My favorite primer to use with this is the YSL primer, and I love to also set it with the La Mer. So sorry about that, but it is true. It has a natural matte finish. Some people may think it's too matte, but I don't. I think it's just right there on the natural matte. It's not tight feeling. It's not uncomfortable, even though it does have alcohol in it. And honestly, this is the foundation that I will use if I'm ever going somewhere, if I'm ever like going to an event, or if I'm meeting some like important people, if I have a meeting or something like that. I will use this foundation because this never in the, what is it, 11th month? 9 months that I've owned this has never failed me. So I cannot stress enough. I know the VIB sale is starting tomorrow. I cannot stress enough how important this is in my life. And I really, as like petty as that sounds, it really is as far as foundations go. Important to me. It holds a special place in my heart. I hope they never discontinue it. And I strongly suggest, if you can find your color, to add that to your cart for the sale, because it is worth every penny you could ever spend on it. Okay, I wanted to do 2 honorable mentions really quick. This one I don't think is going to come to any surprise. It's the Etherealist Skin Illuminating Foundation from Kevyn Aucoin. I've talked about it so much lately that I'm not going to talk about it that much. I do know that it is 1 ounce. It's $58. And I don't know exactly how many colors it comes in, but it's around the 10 to 12 color range. I've done a whole video on it. I've talked ad nauseum about it, so just know that I absolutely love it. I just haven't had it as long as the other ones, so I didn't feel comfortable putting it in my like top 5 of all of my foundations, but it definitely deserves an honorable mention. This one, I think I mentioned it in like a favorites video. I did do a first impression video way long ago, but I just don't talk about it a lot. But it's one of those foundations where I don't use it for like 3 weeks, and then I use it and I'm like, man, I really like this foundation. And it is actually, other than the L'Oreal, the cheapest of all the ones that I've talked about. And it's the Lorac Sheer Perfection oil-free, paraben-free, fragrance-free foundation. I am in the color PS4 Golden Light. And this color, this is the least amount of colors. It retails for $34, but it only has 8 colors. But I will say that I feel like this color works for me all year round. There's something about it that kind of melds to my skin tone, and it just works. So I don't think it's that big of a deal that they only have 8 colors, because I don't think you're gonna need various colors for the seasons. It's just beautiful. All these are long lasting, but this just gives a really pretty, smooth, glorious finish to the skin. Okay, so that is all of my top 5 with 2 honorable mention foundations. Hopefully I may have given you some kind of ideas of something to add to your cart if you're wanting to try those out during the VIB sale. It's a perfect time to do it when you can get 20% off. If you have any questions about any of these foundations, be sure and put it down in the comment section. And if you have any recommendations, I love that y'all know how much I love foundations. You've recommended me some, and a lot of these have come from your recommendations, so I really highly appreciate that, and I sure hope they don't stop coming, because I am not going to stop buying foundations. As always, if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do that so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and y'all have a very blessed day.